All right, good evening. The time is now 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to session. At this point, we'll go ahead and stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Mark, if you can lead us in an invocation, please.
Father, thank you for today. Thank you for giving us another day to live, and we pray that you will bless the ones to make decisions tonight. Give them wisdom, give them knowledge to be able to make proper decisions. Thank you for their service. Thank you for our city and good city we get to live and work in. We ask you to continue to bless us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there any visitors' remarks? At this moment, I have Mr. Manuel Abrego. If you'd like to come up, I believe we have a time limit on this at 5 minutes. Mr. Abrego, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here today.
And some of these signs are already up. I think that we have an ordinance and we need to make sure that they don't do it within the city limits. And if they do, we need to fine them and we need to take those signs down or whatever. And if the businesses that put up those signs, we need to literally give them a copy of that ordinance and tell them that they can't be doing that. I mean, we're in February, we have elections in May, we're gonna have elections in November, we're gonna have elections in 2024, the primaries. We have one, Alex Dominguez has a sign from last year, from March of 2022, there at Julia's. And I called the police department and it's still there. I don't see why it's there on the main drag. But anyway, I just feel that we need to stay on top of that, those political signs. The other thing is the rodeo. Last month it was awesome in recognizing Mr. Sheldon. You guys did a beautiful job. I couldn't have been better. But it was very sad to hear that he wasn't provided tickets for the rodeo. He wasn't even invited for the parade. Had I not called you, Mayor, and the day before. So, we talked and highly recommended this man and for all his service, and they just kind of kicked him on the wayside. What's insulting is that we sponsor the CDC and the city. They get tickets for that. We're not asking for anything free. They get a total of 48 tickets a piece. That's 96 tickets a year. And we couldn't provide 2 tickets for the Sheldons? I mean, I saw pictures of the pastor, of a state rep, buddies, and that's fine. I don't care. But as long as at least the men of the year, or the citizen of the year, is recognized, a couple of tickets wouldn't hurt. When I was mayor, when we came about with this project, when we started this committee with the rodeo, no mayor, no council members, no CDC members got any free tickets. Strictly employees. It was a draw system, and whoever got tickets, that's the way it was. But somehow, I understand elected officials are getting, back then in the 70s and 80s, we had the caliche politics. You had people, county commissioners giving out caliche for votes. We don't want to have rodeo politics here for tickets. I think that it's wrong. I think that we need to be held to a higher standard. My gosh, if you're there, it's not your ticket. That ticket belongs to the citizens of Los Fresnos. It doesn't belong to the mayor, doesn't belong to Mark, doesn't belong to the CDC president. Those funds are, and I have no problems you guys setting guidelines and doing what you need to do. But I'm just telling you what we had for many years. I wanted to come, I was a mayor, I bought a ticket like anybody else. And now it seems like when I ask, well, how many tickets do we get? Well, they get 10, 10, 10, and then the CDC gets 10, 10, 10, and who decides? So, you know. And if somebody dropped the ball on this, I hope it doesn't happen again next year. Somebody needs to be on top of it. If you gonna give tickets away, I have no problems, but at least cover the people that come first, that are recognized. I talked to Desi today. The CDC had kind of had a standing policy that if there was a business coming into Los Fresnos, give them a ticket. Tell them about what Los Fresnos is about, you know. We had a drive-in, Mr. Vasquez, that opened up. Give them a ticket, recognize them. But overall, I'd like to commend the rodeo committee. They did a heck of a job. The parking, I understand, was awesome. I had health issues, and my back is killing me, and I can't see very well, but that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this moment, I have Eduardo Lugo Jr.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce myself. I've applied. Eventually, I guess at some point, there may be a CDC board position available. And I just wanted to come and introduce myself. I'm a resident of Los Fresnos. I work for the school district. I'm a teacher, business teacher. I provided my resume so you can look it over. And I just wanted, again, just to kind of introduce myself and talk a little bit about my resume. Used to work for the Small Business Development Center with UTRGV, did some business counseling. So I know that's one of the main functions of the CDC is to try and get new businesses, local businesses into our town. So I figured I'd offer my time and assistance and that, I guess, expertise. And then what I do at the district is I'm a business teacher. And so I, again, have a little more expertise in terms of the business side. And so I'd like to just offer my time and my services to the CDC whenever that may become available. So I just wanted to take a few minutes just to introduce myself to the commissioners, and hopefully, I don't know, at some point I could be on that board. That's all. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lugo. Okay, at this moment, we'll go through the consent agenda items. We have a total of 12. Is there any that any of the council would like to pull out before we make a motion? Is there a motion to be made?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items.
Will that be 1 through 12? 1 through 12?
Yes, 1 to 12.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second that. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to action item number 1, consideration and action to approve or reject all bids received for the 2021 street improvement project. Any comments, Mark, in regards to this, or questions from the council at this time?
No, I laid it out the way it was. I think maybe Paulina has a question and Mr. Peterson might have a comment. that I think would be appropriate if, besides what I've written down, so I don't know how you would want to take that. Do you want to,
Would you like to come up?
would you like to make a comment on? Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Peterson, how you doing today?
Good evening. I'm John Peterson, President, Peterson Construction Company. We've got a little discrepancy. I don't know if anybody's been made aware of it, that when we turned in our bid, or when we bid the project, our bid was, I believe, 1.8 million some odd dollars for our base bid. I think the second bid closest to us was 1.9, and then another bid of over $2 million. Our written total, which is what is recognized according to the contracts and the bid forms, was written out at 1,800,000 and some odd thousand. I don't have the exact figures. When my estimator called and said we were low bidder, I was like, okay, great. And then I think the next day there was a call from the engineer, your representatives, Hanson, and said our bid was 1.1 million. And so I'm like, well, wait a minute, something's entirely wrong here. And so we checked our figures, he checked his things and looked on his computer how we do everything on our computer. Total shows 1.8. We never, once we have that, we write in our information. We did not add each and every line item to total that amount to make sure total 1.8. Computer does that. After receiving a phone call and talking to Mr. Riggins, I indicated and told him there's no way that we could possibly do that job for $1.1 million. And if, you know, I consider 3 reputable companies. G&T Paving was one of them. Klausner Equipment was one of them. And of course ourselves. We compete with them quite often, have for a considerable amount of years. And when you see a discrepancy of $700,000, over $700,000 from one bid, from your low bid to your second bid, that should indicate a problem. Not trying to run from the fact that we made a big mistake. There's, like I say, there's no way we can take this project on at that price. And I was told that, I think with our items, I think there was 7 or 8 items that we came in within the budget. And I'm like, well, that's great for y'all, but not good for us, because adding even those amounts, which he said, or I think Mr. Riggins said that it came within the city's budget. Well, in today's times, as y'all know, in 6 months, 1 month, 1 week, the last 2 years, if you all are, I don't know what capacity, what businesses you have, but trying to find people, trying to hire people, our labor force has probably doubled as far as what wages are. The lack of not knowing from 1 week to the other as far as what your product's cost is going to run. Materials have tripled. Fuel has come down, but it is also going up. Oils, we're still paying a tremendous amount of high oils. And anyway, we appreciated the opportunity to bid on the project for the city. We've done a lot of work for the city, hope to continue doing bids. And but at this point, if you awarded us the contract, there's no way we can do the base bid for $1.1 million. looked at it over and over with my estimator, and all he can say is, hey, I screwed up. He showed me what the total was. I'm like, what happened? He says, I came up with my total, got my total, put the figures in, showed the total, we wrote out the total. Secretary writes out all the information. And so it was quite disappointing, the fact that what we felt we had a very good bid, we're low bidder, and then to find out there's been that kind of an error. So I'd be glad to answer anybody's questions. You know, I don't know what resource or what can be, if there's a way to deal with the situation, or, you know, that's up to y'all. But that's the facts. That's what happened. So anybody?
So what you're saying is that you're short.
Oh yeah, no, there's, we can't, I might as well just put up a for sale sign and take that kind of a lick, you know. I've looked at it, gone over it this afternoon. I spent for about the fourth time trying to research how we could possibly do it, what could be done, and it'd be foolish. I mean, there's no way that I can do it for that.
So, Commissioner, can you speak into the mic? That way you can get record, or just bring the mic down a little bit. That way, yeah, there you go.
So how much were you short on your bid, más o menos?
I didn't even go there. I mean, I got a ballpark figure, but I'd rather do that in a, you know, I don't know how you do that. If you do that in an executive session type deal or get back with the engineer. But yeah, we tried to figure out what we could possibly do it for. And we didn't even get to that, you know, I said, there's no reason to, I didn't know where this would go. So I did not, you know, say, okay, we can do it for X number as far as an actual amount. Wouldn't take long to figure it out because I've already studied all as far as the labor cost, fuel cost, equipment cost, you know, as far as you even figure in the fuel cost, the maintenance, everything else that you even have, today we even have an unknown figure that you put in a percentage based on about every 30 days, sometimes less than that, we get, I don't know if you're familiar with Vulcan Materials. Vulcan Materials has purchased one of the largest caliche pits up the valley. Well, they've tripled their price at the port, and they tripled their price on caliche since they bought the pit. They basically are controlling the market. You know, they're just unknowns that you try and figure in, and say I can't do it for that. I'd be glad to try and work something.
Mark?
I'd be glad to try and, you know, come up with something and meet with a committee or meet with whomever or whatever. You know, if the door's still open to try and do something, that's not a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
Informing the council that I would have to refuse any contract for that amount, you know. It's difficult for me to, I've been in business for 45 years, and, you know, it's hard to get up here and say you made that kind of a mistake, but everybody depends on people, and I'm not making excuses, but things happen.
Well, sir, thank you very much for coming and being honest with us. That means a lot, absolutely. So my only questions is for Mark is, what are procedures that we can take as a committee right now?
Can I let Paulina visit about the bid and the way it's tabulated, and then I guess the bid bond and what that means, and then from there. So, Paulina, if you could.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Paulina Vega from Hanson Professional Services for the record. So the problem with the problem that happened with the bid is that all the unit prices are correct as they are listed. When we go through doing the bid tabulation, we check for mathematical errors. The only mathematical error that we found on the bid was the final addition for the total bid amount. So all the unit prices match with the wording and unit prices. Only the total bid was what we would call a mathematical error. The written base bid was $1,862,320.75. And as you can see from the base bid and the tabulation, that if you add it correctly, it totals to $1,166,838.50. So if now moving forward, if Peterson Construction is not going to, be able to accept the contract, there's a couple of options. One of the options is to try and go with this base bid that we did receive. However, the unit prices don't match, so I don't think we're not going to be able to change the unit prices because the base bid is the base bid is incorrect. So at that point, the second bidder would be the lowest bidder, which was Klossner Construction. And then the option is to, if he retracts his bid, is to go ahead and see if we can go for the bid bond, which is the bond that they submit in order to qualify their bid and make sure that it's correct and, that they're serious for their bid.
What was the Klossner bid at?
Give me 1 second. Klossner's total base bid is $1,926,583.50.
Okay.
Can you explain the big bid bond?
Sure.
Yes.
So the bid bond, we would have to, if they do formally retract their bid, the city is able to, contact the bid bond company, and you're able to collect on the amount that's the difference between what they bid and the next bidder.
Isn't a bond when you use certain assets to leverage to be able to provide that level of value or something like that? Is that what that is?
So what the bid bond is providing is, the security that their bid bond, that what they're submitting is correct and that they're going to go through with the contract if, once it's submitted.
Okay. Please.
Judge, the subject of the bid bond hasn't come up. I feel compelled to ask the council to pass on this matter because I think we need to deal with it in a closed session. So we can further discuss any possibilities in any directions, and you can be fully informed. So
I agree, and we actually have a closed session that we can take advantage of and
with
use
proper
it.
notice, I think we can, at your convenience, go there.
Mark, is that the one we have on the agenda for right now? We already have it on the agenda. We can proceed to enter.
So I suggest, the Mayor, that we
Yeah, I
go
suggest
ahead
that
and.
we go to closed session.
Yeah, we hold this off and go to closed session, get some more information, and make a better informed decision from there.
We have closed session right now, so we can go into it right now, and so we can go ahead and close the meeting temporarily at 6:24 and go into closed session. At this time, we'll go ahead and do that, so we can address it. So we'll take a quick recess, unless you got something quick you wanted to,
He asked to say one more thing.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it because of the microphone.
Thing is, of course, you go back to the second bidder, there was, I think, $65,000 difference. You're gonna jump to 1.9 million something, I believe. So, anyway, that's just one thing I'd like for you to look at the entire
course.
picture of what the
At this time, we're
situation,
going into closed session.
what the situation is.
6:25.
Thank you.
Alrighty, the time is now 7:07. We'll go ahead and call this meeting back to order. In regards to action item number 1, consideration and action to approve or reject all bids received for the 2021 street improvement project. I'll go ahead and motion that we table this. Is there a second?
I'll go ahead and second that, Mayor.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to table it. All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to action item number 2, consideration and action to approve an updated quote to purchase 2 patrol units for the police department. Mark, any comments on this?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, as you're aware, we originally put these orders in on August 17, 2021, and due to COVID and the backlog, it passed the 21 models, now the 22 models, and they say we are on tap to get the 23s. The cost has gone up, as you can see, $10,214 on each one. We have an option to just say, no, we're not going to do it, but my recommendation is go ahead. Number one, we've got 2 newer, we'll have newer model vehicles instead of get an older model. But if we start over, we're going to be back in line that line is long on getting those. We will be looking in the future for maybe local dealers. We've done that in the past, and sometimes they can do it and sometimes they can't, but we'd like to continue with these 2.
I think the police vehicles are used every single day, and it's important for them to have the best equipment out there. Not sure if any of the other council has anything else to say about that.
Mark, is this money coming up from our budget or their budget that they have now?
The general fund,
General fund?
yeah. But their budget can cover it if they needed to, but we'll be all right as far as budget. It won't put anyone in a bind.
I know we have 2 city councilmen here that have experience in law enforcement and administrative, so I would like to hear from y'all, honestly.
I think, my opinion is that we make a motion to go ahead and approve it, only because the cost of vehicles are not going down. And this is an old bid, and the bid is there for that amount of money, and it's still holding to that bid. Other than a little bit of a difference, we need to take advantage of the bid.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Unit's got to be there. That's just like the tires. You got to change them tires all the time.
Is there a motion to be made?
I think you did make the motion, Mayor.
Yeah, motion was made, and has it been
Yeah,
seconded?
motion to go ahead and
Second.
accept.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Motion made and then seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. And motion carries. Moving on to action item number 3, consideration and action to approve an interlocal agreement with Cameron County Regional Mobility Authority to allow CCRMA to develop preliminary engineering and environmental documents, as well as plans, specifications, and estimates, and complete any project development activities required to develop the project to a ready-to-let status for construction of Los Fresnos Hike and Bike Trail projects. Mark?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there's a portion of our hike and bike trail that we completed up to 1847. There's another one that we've applied a grant for on the portion of the canal, not the canal, yes, the canal, that was put underground. We submitted a application for funding to see if we can get that piece done. The rest of the piece from the other side of O'Reilly's back to 1847 is included in this, as well as the continuation of that to where it matches up with our trail that comes here. And so this is on the text dot. I don't know what number, they have some abbreviations, and I can't ever remember the abbreviation, TIP or something like that, for 2026. So we have to get started, and CCMRA is willing to develop those for us and make that project happen and be ready whenever that funding becomes available.
Any questions from the board or from the council?
No, Mayor, make a motion that we go ahead and do the interlocal agreement with the cooperation agreement with the county.
Okay, motion has been made
I'll second that motion.
and motion has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to the acknowledgement of city managers' reports. Any questions or comments from the board, or Mark would like to give us any new updates on anything?
Mark, I do have a question for you. In reading the report, the only thing that keeps coming up is that area by the motel that floods. I know that you make a note that it's TxDOT responsibility and they don't do anything about it, but what about an area? And I mean, it's still big.
The problem is where the pipe that it drains from, there's an inlet there, and it goes underground, and they all go to the same place. There could be a potential for it to be a little better once we get all of the Valle Alto and that drain going to the north of there, because all of that from the north comes underneath Highway 100 there. TxDOT drain comes in a pipe this way and connects in, and then another one of the TxDOT goes across, but they all end up in that one ditch behind the old Lopez supermarket. If there's more capacity on the other piece that they're looking at, capacity on the drainage ditch, but also for part of the study that Valle Alto does is the detention area, maybe expand that. And so all of those things could possibly help in relieving the stress of that. So TxDOT won't do anything. I think our first is to get that project done and get that and see how it responds after that. You might say, well, we're waiting, but it's not our pipes. It's not it's TxDOT's. None of the businesses have ever been flooded, not even close. They've been fine. It's just a hassle for a couple hours that we have to go to the middle of the roadway. There's only been one time that we had to shut it down for about 2 hours and redirect people around. The rest of it, they've been able to go in the center both directions. So if it affected businesses, as in flooding, I would say we can't wait. But since it's just kind of inconvenience for a few hours, that we wait and see how that other project affects it.
Thank you, Mark.
Can you get your microphone on, please? The microphone? There you go. Thank you.
On page 84, Mark, there's $10,000 for dirt hauling for shooting range. Did they repair the shooting range or they remove that dirt? Page 84.
Which one you talking about?
It's 40148.
That was the, can I wait on that? We're not on that item yet. That's on department head reports.
Okay, that's on, we have to.
Can I do that once we get there?
Yes, sir, Mark. That one we'll go over. You can ask that one when we get to department head reports. But for now, an acknowledgement of city managers' reports. Is there any other questions, comments? If not, is there a motion to be made?
I make a motion that we accept the city manager's report as.
Okay, motion has been made. And And I'll go ahead and second the acknowledgement of the city manager's reports. With that said, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. Moving on to the acknowledgement of department head reports.
Okay, I
Commissioner?
got the,
Oh,
I
go
got the
ahead.
question and the answer. That is, when they widen this drainage ditch back here, both the one that is running to the south and the one between Alvarez Court and 10th Street, instead of us giving the dirt to someone else, we just hired someone to move the dirt from there to the shooting range to keep the berms high so that it's safe. And so that was hauling for probably close to 2 months. So that's what that number is.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Any other questions about the department head reports 1 through 6? If not, if there's a motion to be made,
Make a motion that we accept the department head reports.
I'll second that motion.
okay, motion is made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. And all those who oppose do the same. Motion carries. At this time, it's 7:18. We'll go ahead and conclude this meeting. Thank you and have a good evening.